After we hung up, I spent the evening reviewing my old files, cases I'd won, strategies I'd employed. The methodical preparation that had made me one of the most feared attorneys on the East Coast. Patricia thought she was dealing with a helpless widow. Tomorrow she discovered she was facing Dorothy Mitchell, the woman who'd never lost a case in 15 years of practice. The woman who'd voluntarily walked away from law to raise her daughter, only to have that same daughter try to destroy her. I pulled out a yellow legal pad and began making notes. The familiar process of building a defense. Coming back like riding a bicycle. Patricia's case relied entirely on the assumption that I was mentally incompetent. But competency isn't just about age or confusion. It's about understanding the nature and consequences of your decisions. And I understood exactly what I was doing. Morrison had made one crucial error in his petition. He painted me as a victim of manipulation, suggesting unknown parties had influenced me to forge Robert's will. But Robert's will have been witnessed by 3 people and notarized. The signatures had already been verified by handwriting experts. So where was this alleged forgery? I smiled, making another note. Morrison was fishing, hoping I'd panic and accept a settlement. He was counting on me being overwhelmed by legal procedures, frightened into giving up. Tomorrow would change everything. The morning of our first court appearance, I dressed carefully, not in the designer suits Patricia expected, but in my old navy dress with sensible shoes. Let them think what they wanted. Patricia and Michael arrived at the courthouse looking confident. Morrison had clearly told them this would be a simple hearing, just a formality before the competency evaluation. I sat alone at the defendant's table. No attorney beside me, no briefcase full of documents. Just an old woman with a handbag. Exactly what they expected to see. Judge Walsh entered and I watched Patricia's face for any recognition. Nothing. Margaret had changed over the years too. Her red hair now silver, her freckles faded. But her sharp blue eyes were exactly the same. Your Honor, Morrison began, standing with practiced authority. This is a straightforward case of financial elder abuse and potential fraud. Mrs. Hamilton, the defendant has been left a substantial inheritance under questionable circumstances. I listened as he painted his picture of me, confused, vulnerable, easily manipulated. According to Morrison, I'd somehow forged my own husband's will, despite having no legal knowledge or understanding of state law. The plaintiff requests an immediate competency evaluation and temporary conservatorship to protect Mrs. Hamilton's assets from further mismanagement. Judge Walsh looked at me. Mrs. Hamilton, you're representing yourself in this matter. I stood slowly, playing the part they expected. Yes, Your Honor. I couldn't afford an attorney. Patricia actually smirked at that. Do you understand the nature of these proceedings? I believe so, Your Honor. My daughter thinks I'm not smart enough to manage money. Morrison objected, Your Honor. This oversimplifies serious allegations of mental incompetence and fraud, sustained Mrs. Hamilton. Do you understand that the court is being asked to determine whether you have the mental capacity to manage your financial affairs? Yes, Your Honor. And do you wish to contest these allegations? I looked directly at Patricia for the first time that day. Yes, Your Honor. I do. Judge Walsh made some notes. Mr. Morrison, I've reviewed your petition. You're alleging that Mrs. Hamilton forged her deceased husband's will. Not exactly forged, Your Honor, but was manipulated into believing she was entitled to an inheritance that should rightfully go to the children. I see, and you have evidence of this manipulation. Morrison hesitated slightly. We believe the evidence will emerge during the competency evaluation. Your Honor, I stood again. Your Honor, may I ask a question? Judge Walsh nodded. Mr. Morrison, you claim I was manipulated into forging my husband's will, but the will was properly witnessed, notarized, and filed. Are you suggesting the witnesses and notary were also manipulated? Morrison looked annoyed at the interruption. Your Honor, Mrs. Hamilton lacks the legal knowledge to understand the complexities of this case. Actually, I said quietly, I understand perfectly. You're hoping the court will declare me incompetent based on my age and gender, without any actual evidence of mental incapacity or fraud. Isn't that right, Mr. Morrison? The courtroom went very quiet. Patricia was staring at me with wide eyes. Furthermore, I continued. Massachusetts General Law. Chapter 190B requires clear and convincing evidence of incapacity. You've provided character testimony and speculation, but no medical evidence, no psychological evaluation, no concrete proof of any kind. Morrison was on his feet. Objection. Your Honor, Mrs. Hamilton is clearly being coached. Judge Walsh raised an eyebrow. By whom, Mr. Morrison? She's representing herself. That's when I decided to stop pretending. I straightened my shoulders and let 30 years of careful pretense fall away like an old coat. Your Honor, I'd like to present my credentials to the court. I reached into my handbag and pulled out my Massachusetts Bar Association card. Current and valid, Dorothy Mitchell Hamilton. Member of the Massachusetts Bar since 1982. License number 847293. The silence in that courtroom was deafening. Patricia's mouth fell open. Michael grabbed her arm, whispering frantically. Morrison looked like he'd been slapped. Judge Walsh examined my credentials with a carefully neutral expression. Mrs. Hamilton, why didn't you mention your legal background earlier? Because, Your Honor, I wanted to see exactly what accusations Mr. Morrison would make against someone he assumed was legally ignorant. I turned to face Morrison directly. You spent the last 20 minutes arguing that I lacked the mental capacity to understand simple financial matters, yet you never bothered to research my background.